Strictly for my ill ones. Strictly for my ill ones. Welcome to Paris. Welcome to Paris. Time to get live up in this so live. Hands up, ready for the live business. It's time to bring the noise. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Clue the motherfucking Down for another episode of Country Fan Mail Podcast. And as you see, we are here with the boy 7Starr. What's going on with you, G?
Yo, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Life is good, man. I want to appreciate you coming on to the show, man. As I was saying to you before, man, you're my first international guest, so I definitely appreciate you coming on to the podcast, man, taking it to another level.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. So thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. And definitely appreciate having, saying the equipment and the audio, being able to hear both sides really clearly. That speaks, it's perfect, man. It speaks volumes for the audio.
That's how we do it, man.
Yes, sir. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop right into it, man. So the first question that I usually ask all my guests was, what's the first song that you listened to when you woke up this morning?
The first song I listened to when I woke up this morning was one of my tracks. I hadn't listened to my own album for a while, so I put on that first track called The Why. That's the first track on the whole album, and I was listening to it because I just wanted to take some distance from my project, to have a clear opinion on it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I did. I just popped the first track and I listened to through my whole album throughout the whole thing to see if it was still relevant to me, if I was still liking it,
Okay.
So that's the first thing I listened to this morning when I woke up.
Got you. Okay, and can you actually go deeper into that track? Because that's the intro of your album, Diff Diff. And honestly, I speak about it. Intros are really big to me because I feel like they really set the tone for the album. And honestly, the intro, it really did lead into the album just being buck as hell, man. So yeah, can you go into detail about what the why was?
The Why, I always wanted to start my album in a different way, and when I was exchanging like texts with Playa, is one of the producers on my album. I was talking to him and he was sending me a bunch of beats, and I heard that song that he had already released actually, and I just thought it was interesting because it was a beat without an actual drum. So he had the version with the drums that was on his Infinity album. But then he sent me the version of that beat without the drums, and I just thought that it sounded so different and it sounded so cool. And I was like, you know what, that would be a great track for an intro, because it kind of like it allows me to set the tone for the whole project, but to also, from a lyrical perspective, be able to just let people dive into my personal life a little bit, my personal world, and really let them know what I'm about,
For sure.
And when I heard the beat, I was like, yo, I'm sold. I need this. This is going to be the intro to my album. And I just thought that it was going to sound different. And I just started writing to it, and I just really wanted to have an honest dialogue with whoever's listening to me, so they could get to know a little bit more about me, so I think that it's always important to know why we do certain things. The purpose that we have in life is probably the most important thing in order for us to move forward. So that's why the track is called The Why.
Okay, I appreciate that. And when you said the people that are listening, like, who did you think that your target audience was gonna be? Because I know that too, on the side of it, you definitely, you knew the Krumpers are gonna be feeling it. And then on the side of it, you actually spitting, saying you're a real lyricist. You're not just a, crump rapper or whatever you would call it. So like, what was your target audience with this project?
My thing with Diff Diff is I always wanted to make krump music that would appeal to everybody. You feel me? Like, even if I'm not a krumper, I could just still listen to the track while I'm driving to work or while I'm working out, for the everyday person to just listen to what I'm saying, and at the same time make them curious about what krump is about, what krump culture is about,
Yeah.
So I kind of didn't want to, as much as I've been super inspired by Spartan, Tight Eyes, who are like my favorite krump rappers. I also realized that if I do go back to rapping, there's no way that I could do it like them. There's no way that I could talk about the same things, that I could use the same content, have the same approach. So I really wanted to make something that was accessible to everybody, because it's also a representation of my community here in Montreal and Quebec, where we have people from so many different backgrounds that come to our classes. We could have a lot of
Mhm.
youth. I teach a lot of classes, to the youths and all of that. So I just wanted that album to be something that they could listen to,
Yeah.
and keep it positive. You feel me? So I really wanted to bring Krump to like a mainstream type of place.
I can feel
Um,
it.
because I know that Krump is very underground still, but I believe that Krump belongs everywhere. Krump
Yeah.
can be on Broadway. Krump can be on in movies. On
And was and
television or
is.
whatever. And,
Yeah,
and and it's like, yo, if I drop a video, I want it to be as good as a J. Cole or a Kendrick Lamar video, because I believe that that's how rich Krump is. You feel
for
me? So
sure.
that was my whole approach when I created the project.
And we're gonna definitely get into the visuals and how dynamic you definitely made it, because that was really the thing that really attracted me so much to the project, was just really how dynamic you made it within the music, the lyrics, and also adding the visuals in there. That's a big thing, especially within the crunk world. But before we get into that, you talked about where you're from, Montreal, Quebec. And so crump scene out there, like starting out, I know, I think from my understanding it was around like 04, 05, y'all started the Berserk Squad. Y'all
Yes,
started getting
sir.
stuff popping out there. Like, so how was that back then? Like, how were y'all? Who were y'all looking at back then? Like, what coast was really popular outside of the West, of course. Mecca.
Oh man, it was whatever we could find on YouTube. That's what was
I feel
popping
that.
for us.
Yeah,
It was so hard because Crump is still very unknown here in 2022. But imagine back in '05, how crazy it was
can
for
imagine.
us to even do this style. And even culturally speaking, having a bunch of, youngins that are just dancing at a park or in a, parking lots and everything, it created a lot of insecurities in our neighborhoods.
Mm,
There's many times we got pulled over or we got stopped by the cops or whatever just because we were dancing outside. But we kept going because we knew that Crump, like, again, I believed in Crump beyond the dance. You know what I'm saying?
got you.
There's that spiritual aspect. There's that social aspect also, where you see how therapeutic that could be, and how it could help us out in everything we're doing. So all we were doing is mimicking whatever we were seeing online. But obviously, the West Coast was our biggest influence. And
Hmm.
then when the mob moved to the East, that's where we got a lot of that influence also,
Yeah.
when Lil Tight at the moment, who was Rapture, and
Hmm.
Hitman moved to the East Coast, and they had their own little swagger, you feel me, compared to
Yeah,
what
yeah,
was going on. They had their own style going on. So I think that influenced us a lot, because we saw that it was possible to take Crump in different ways, and bring it in different directions. And then we started paying attention to everything that was going on overseas,
hmm.
especially in Paris and Germany, because
Yup,
that's
yup, yup,
where the illest and the European buck sessions to really,
yup.
set the standards in terms of events. And it gave us something to look up to, once we approached the '09 and
Hmm.
2010, 2011. But back in '05, it was all about finding whatever we could that was Crump related in order for
Yeah.
us to understand more about the culture.
For sure. Yeah, 'cause that was definitely a crazy era in Crump. I remember, like you said, you talked about the mob moving out east. I know that's when like ESK was popping
Hmm.
down the south. You had Sector 7, you had all these different things that were going on. And it was like, yeah, it was kind of like what you could kind of get hold on to. And it's crazy because me being a stateside crumper, how how you see it, we didn't I feel like a lot of us didn't start paying attention to overseas until it was almost too late. Like
Hmm.
when you started actually paying attention to what was going on across the border, or even across the seas, it was like, yo, these cats are on another level. You know what I'm saying? That's when you start hearing about, Canada. Cause I think the first crumper from Canada that actually that I heard about was Taminator.
Hmm.
I think she was the first one that I heard about. And is she from the same from Montreal as well?
Yes, we're same city. We started together at around the same time. We're the same big homie. So
Got
yeah,
you.
me and her have the same kind of the same, path in terms of crump.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And when it came to Krump and I guess even moving over into Krump music, is there or music just in general, is there like a particular path that you would want to follow more? Like do you wanna, you wanna stick to dance more? Or are you trying to move more into music? How's that looking?
I mean, definitely, I think the pandemic made me realize that I needed to reinvent myself and go back to the old, old stuff that I used to do before I started dancing. Because before dance, obviously, I was rapping. This is something that I was doing since the age of 14. And
Okay.
obviously the pandemic made me go back to writing. I did a little podcast called the Street Dance Talk for like 6 months because I wanted to test out my ability to, just be out there and hold conversations with people and maybe have a podcast in the future.
For sure.
So it was just me diving back into the stuff that I liked, and I definitely have a lot more pleasure right now making music.
Okay.
I think it's because it's something that's new and refreshing. Not saying that I'm not gonna dance as much, but
Hmm.
definitely right now that's what's keeping me, involved and active within the community, within the culture.
Yeah,
And obviously right now we're still in lockdowns and there's still a lot of crazy stuff happening here in Quebec.
exactly.
So it's hard for us to get together and gather. But I figured that if I don't contribute through the dance, then I'll just do it through the music. But I think that my key word is experience, because I feel like Krump has grown in so many aspects, music wise. Now you have Krump rappers, you have Krump dancers, you have Krumpers that organize events, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, if I keep pushing this in these directions, then eventually I'll be able to offer people an experience that goes beyond just a dance. You feel me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm currently working on a project called The Concert, and if things open back up, like Lord willing, I'd love to do like a Krump concert with live musicians, like an orchestral type of thing,
That sounds
um,
amazing.
and have only Krumpers that are hired to dance and all of that. So it's like all of these things that I have in mind is like, okay, Krump, we know the dance, but now we could go so much farther
Take it
with
to
it.
another level.
Yeah.
And speaking of taking it to another level, can you go into detail about I saw a clip of your piece. I think it's called please forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Anima Darkroom?
Anima Darkroom,
Anima
yes.
Darkroom. Yes, yes. So man, I saw just like I said, just a piece of it, and it was, I mean, it's hella powerful. And like I'm trying to figure out how I can find it. I was like, somebody must have bootlegged it and put it on YouTube, but I couldn't find it nowhere, man. But can you like can you explain to the people like what was the motivation behind that piece?
Yes. So back in 2018, I was approached by Lucy May, who's a contemporary dancer, but also now a Krumper. She's really involved in the whole community and all of that. But she comes from a contemporary background, and she started taking my Krump classes in 2016 in Montreal every week and all of that. And it's like when she approached me, she said, "Hey, man, like I'm really thinking about maybe working on a project, trying to find some grants and stuff like that, so we could start working on a project. I don't really know exactly where I want to go with it, but I'd be interested in working with you. I think we could come up with something pretty interesting." So I decided to say yes. I was happy about it because it was my first time working with somebody who actually had a true interest in, the Krump culture. There's a
Yeah,
lot of contemporary dancers that approached me, but they didn't have the will of really understanding, like, oh, what is Krump about? And or not just take a Krumper and add him to a piece or whatever, but really trying to work with them and create something authentic.
got you.
So when Lucy approached me and told me like, "Hey, I want to work with you," I was like, "All right, let's do it." And we started working together without really knowing where we were gonna go, and we
Hmm.
ended up creating a 1 hour solo piece. So I'm performing for a full hour on stage, and this is the piece that we made was called
That's
Anima
crazy.
Darkroom. So it's a process that was pretty long before we presented the first premiere. It premiered at the Théâtre La Chapelle in 2019.
Mhm.
That was during the Gutter Zone Festival, and that's the first time that we presented it. And ever since, I've been able to perform it several times, and even like go on a little tour with it. So
Man,
hopefully, if things open up, we'll be able to continue to push it.
for sure. And how was that, like, as far as, like, doing such a dynamic piece and almost being like the, I mean, essentially you're a representative, you know what I'm saying, as far as the crunk world goes, you're a representative showing, I'm assuming different crowds or different, groups of people what this could look like.
Yeah. Um, it's a blessing, you feel me? Because it goes back to me saying like how Crump belongs everywhere. And that was kind of
Mhm.
my main motivation for doing this. It's like, all right, I know that I'm mature enough now to go into this type of work. I've been in the game for like at the time I was 13 years deep in the game. So I was like, I'm ready to take it to places where I'll be able to perform my craft, represent without bastardizing what Crump is, and
Yeah,
without watering it down, because that was always my fear. When it comes to taking Crump out of its context and bringing it to other places, sometimes we're not mature enough to do that, and we don't do the style justice. You feel me?
exactly.
So
Yeah,
now I felt confident, and I felt like Lucy was coming from an honest and genuine place. So I was ready to tackle that, and I think the people really received it well, and it allowed me to reach out to people that didn't know nothing about Crump, not a single thing. Like, because
for sure.
sometimes I would perform somewhere, and after the performance, the day after or the day before, they would ask me to do a workshop. You feel me? So the people that wouldn't normally have any interaction with Crump
Mhm.
now were introduced to it. So I was able to reach a broader audience.
That's
So
awesome.
this is why I was happy, and hopefully, like I said, the project is still ongoing. Right
Yeah.
now we're on break because of everything that's going on, but it's still something that we're going to continue to perform in the future.
Okay, okay. And if I'm doing my math right, you say you were 13 years in at the time, so what you're like, what, 16 years in now? Uh,
Yes.
so you've done a lot of stuff, man. I mean, you've been guest guest host on the EBS, the Illis, Fitted Talks. I mean, just a lot of events around the world. What was your most memorable, and I'll say, what was your most memorable moment at an event that you can think about?
Man, I have to say Crumpire, man. And Crumpire, I
Sure.
was not a guest there. I went there and I did my thing, but Crumpire was crazy. It was like a life-changing experience for me.
And
Just
when
being
was
in
this? When was this?
that was 2018 in Russia.
Got you.
Or
Okay, okay.
2017 or 18, I forgot the year, but it was just crazy to see so many Crumpers in the same place at the same time, and the level of dance, and the level of commitment, and also the fellowship, and meeting
Mhm.
people from all over the world that don't necessarily speak the same language, but Crump was our language. So we still got along. We still found ways to understand each other, and
Yeah.
I got a chance to learn from so many people, to push my body to the next level. Like, it's an intensive 10 days of madness out there, and I really enjoyed that experience. I think it was a great one. But I think that's my most memorable moment in terms of me dancing outside of my country. You
Mhm.
know, I would say, obviously, being in LA, the Mecca, is also something that was life changing for me.
Yeah.
But there was something about Crumpire that was like, it made me realize a lot of things about myself, about my dance, about the overall state of Crump, at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely Crumpire is, and I plan on going back in 2020, but unfortunately, with everything that
Mhm.
happened, they had to cancel it.
For sure, for sure. And you were talking about that push. I know that kind of reminds me of your song. I think it's called "Die" or "Die."
Yeah,
Talking about get off till you die. And one of the lines you were just like, anytime I feel like I'm about to stop, I hear Miho in my ear telling me get off till you die. Like,
yeah.
So I mean, I know I'm pretty sure that's something that actually happened. It sounds like something that actually literally happened. So like with that being said, like like
It is something that happened, and I'm trying to make my songs as relevant and as real as possible.
mhm,
And I think that is something that you can feel throughout the whole album is that even as a listener, if you're not familiar with Krump, you're still wondering like, "Hey, what is he talking about exactly? Like,
mhm.
who's Miho? Who's Solo? Who's that guy? What does that mean?" And that's my way of presenting Crump in a way where people get interested in those
Yeah,
stories and what it's about, you know? And, I was at the 818 in North Hollywood after going to the first Lowe's Town. The first time that Solo did the Lowe's Town
yeah,
training, it was with me, my little homie Twin Seven, Lil Seven, and Jay Scopes. And after one of the trainings that we had, we went to North Hollywood, and Dread was dancing, and Miho was next to him, and Miho was just like so amped up. And Dread was like kind of like getting off, and you could tell he was losing a little bit of steam, but man, Mijo looked at him and said, "Man, get off till you die." And the way my man said die, I felt like, yo, there was like a demon inside of his stomach that just like I was like, where did yo,
that was
does
that
this
bull
man
for
really
real.
yo, does he really want him to die? Or is like what is this? Like what's going on here? You know, we don't say that type of stuff back home. You
Yeah,
feel me?
yeah, yeah.
But then I told myself, nah, this is him elevating him. This is him trying to elevate his brother that's losing steam. So this is why I took the die and I made it an acronym and I made it dance into elevation. That's what DIE means because
I like
you
that.
know a lot of times we are telling the wildest stuff in Crump. We say some wild stuff when we hype up people, you know, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like at the end of the day, it's about pushing each other and elevating each other in a positive way. So Miho actually said that, but it wasn't to me. He said that to Dread. And then after that, I remember even when Concrete was dancing and Concrete was going through some stuff at the time, and then Tight Eyes looked at him and said, "Man, get off till you vomit. Make him vomit, Con.
yo,
Get
you
off till
sound
you
just like
vomit." Hey, hey, Concrete, man, I want you to get off till you vomit on these niggas, man.
yo, you sound just like him, yo. That's crazy. Yo,
I
was
hope
he
you
wait,
don't
was he
see me
on the
gonna be like,
album? Was
yeah,
he on the album? Was that you the whole time?
huh?
Was he on the album at all? Was that you the whole time? Tight
Nah,
eyes.
the only feature I have is Rip, Big Rip from Boston. The rest is all me.
Oh, there was a point. I can't remember what song it was, but yo, you definitely sounded like
I
eyes.
think I know what you're talking about. Is it that track called Violent? Where I kind of switch
Ah,
my pitch and I go,
yes,
I've
you
been
keep
about
going.
it. We could go rounds. Got my own slang,
Eh,
got my own
got the whole
sound, a
time.
ring in my middle
Yup.
finger. You both down. In case you ain't know it, that's Lowe's Town. Lowe's Town. Lowe's Town. What up, Texas? Shout out to the bro out.
I was confused because I was just like, okay, he done gave shout out to Lowe's Town. So I was like, he talking about Solo, but then he talking about Al. He could be talking about me Hill. I don't know what he talking about. It's just going everywhere, man. But yeah, you definitely sounded like like that's what that joint, man. That's crazy. But yeah, man, I really appreciate that track, and even deeper into that die track, you had said a few things that kind of switching lanes of the topic, along with a couple lines in that song with a lot of things that I've been seeing you post. You're very, I'll just say, in tune with what's going on. Like you're
Yeah.
not, you're not gonna let no shit going to go over your head. And you sent out shout outs, what I'm saying, getting off for the misfortune and getting off for the kids that can't, getting off for the people, getting
Hmm.
off for the people that ain't here no more. And I see a lot of things that you're posting about just the reality of what's going on and how they're just trying to kind of hide a lot of shit over our eyes.
Hmm.
How Let me try to formulate my question right. Do you feel a sense of like responsibility to as somebody who was out there in the communities, any type of way to make sure that you put yourself out there to let people know, like, when you feel something is wrong, when you feel like there's been an injustice in any type of way?
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think it's our responsibility as leaders. I mean, you can take that responsibility or not take it. I choose to, as much as possible, when I feel it's necessary, to voice my opinion because I mean, the main reason why we are doing this essentially is because through Crump, we're trying to make a change. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I'm trying to help people through Krump. My goal as a teacher, for example, with my youth, is not to make them all become like Tight Eyes or like Terminator or like the best in the world, because that's not realistic.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's something deeper that we can achieve through our art form, through our dance styles, and that's to make the world a better place, and to draw people, together, and bring people together and do all these great things. But that
Yeah.
also means that because of the influence that we've built throughout the years, we should also be able to, speak our mind and use our position to kind of influence, what's going on, or,
Mhm.
call out the BS when the BS is happening. So, I mean, I tried to stay quiet, for a minute with everything that's going on, but then it really started to mess with my brain and my heart, you know,
Gotcha.
because when you feel like the authority that is supposed to protect you and the authority that's supposed to serve you starts to overreach and start to have like a dictatorship like type of
Mhm.
attitude towards its people, then you're at a point where it's not about obedience anymore. Now you
Yeah.
have to do something about it. You feel me? So this is why like we dance. When I look at Krump and when it started, it was a form of rebellion. It was a form of it was a way to to challenge the system. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So in understanding that the root of that of what we're doing has something to do with, expressing ourselves and expressing our freedom and fighting oppression and all of that.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wouldn't make s- it doesn't make sense for us to be quiet after 2 years of nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that.
And then again, I was very patient and took the time to analyze everything before I started talking. But the last measures that have been imposed on us by the government are completely ridiculous. And we realize that it's not about public health anymore. So therefore, we have to start talking. We have to do something about it, because clearly they don't care about us anymore. Or they
I
never
think
did.
I
You
think
know.
you used a term that was really interesting to me. You said intentionally mishandled.
Yes.
Intentionally. Can you go deeper into that one?
Yeah, well, the reason why I say it was intentionally mishandled is because when you look at the whole pandemic, for instance, one of the main reasons why the government claims that we need to do all these lockdowns and curfews that are, by the way, not even backed by science, is always blaming it on the health system. They're saying that the health system is overwhelmed, and that the reason why we need to do this and that we need to push the vaccines is for the health system. When the reality is that when we look at the history of our health system here in Quebec, even though I know that a lot of Americans are looking at us and they're saying, oh, it's great because Canada has free healthcare and all of that. But the reality is that there's a lot of hospital beds and a lot of resources in those hospitals that have not been managed well in the past couple of decades. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So now we are living the consequences of mismanagement, but because the government cannot take the blame for that, they're going to blame the people, and they're going to blame a small percentage of the population that is not vaccinated, to say that the reason why this is an ongoing problem is not because of them, it's because of the people who are unvaxxed, who are not respecting the measures, which is completely false.
They're trying
Which
to
is completely
blame the
false.
last years and years and years of misinfrastructure and not taking care of the not literally not taking care of that on something that has been upon us for the last 2 years.
Exactly. So it's clear to see. This is so obvious. But the fact that we're sitting here and that we're accepting all of this without saying and when I say that the rules are nonsensical, I mean it makes no sense. Like
Mhm.
as artists, sometimes we get some of the guidelines for our rehearsals, and we're just looking at the guidelines and we're like, how is that even scientific? How does that even make sense? And at first you just go along with it and you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But then the more you go into it, the more you realize that it is a cycle that's being
Mhm.
installed and instilled within the psyche of the population, which is conditioning people to a type of cycle that's going to be ongoing and non-stopping, because again, at the end of the day, it's mostly about power and money. And I wouldn't even say money because they got the money now. Right now, it's about power. And a lot of times in societies that are prosperous, we tend to be intellectually lazy. And I'm talking about North America, so United States and Canada. We tend to be very lazy when it comes to like the questioning and understanding that we are not exempt from becoming a society that is under authoritarian like rules
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
and all of that. These things can happen to us. We're not covered from that. We're not safe from that stuff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's why I ask people to ask yourself questions. Ask yourselves like real questions that are sound and rational, and you're going to understand that everything that's going on right now makes no sense and it needs to stop. And it's
Yeah.
the people that need to stop it because
uh,
it's going to keep on going and going and going.
for sure. And that's, yeah, I agree with that. I feel that on excuse me. I felt it on a lot of different levels. And my, like I said, my biggest thing, and I'll just pretty much keep it short. Like, everybody should just do their own research, look up their own stuff, look up things for themselves. Don't just take everything for face value, regardless of whatever path you decide to go on, whatever you decide to believe. Just, what I'm saying, do your own research. What I'm saying, just don't go off of what the next person told you. What I'm saying, that's gonna lead you honestly into a lot more, issue than anything else, man.
Yep,
But
definitely.
but
Definitely.
but with that, you say you've been going on this journey of kind of just understanding everything. Like, how has that been on your mental? Like, how would you feel like you're doing as far as mental health goes?
All right, man. First of all, man, I just thank God for being surrounded with good people.
Mm,
I come from a strong family. I have three older brothers. And I was
that's what's
always
up.
well surrounded. And I also, give a huge shout out to my Krump community because whenever we did get a chance to gather and get together, it was like, it was a blessing, and
That's
it
up.
was something that really allowed us to mentally kind of rejuvenate ourselves and all that. It helped us get through everything, So, but it also there's in every moments of crisis and adversity, there's always good that comes out of it. You feel
Yeah.
me? So as much as I am like frustrated about some of the things that I'm seeing right now, there's also a part of me that's super grateful, you know,
Hmm.
that's super grateful because everything that it has allowed me to do. I've taught so many classes in high schools and elementary schools during the pandemic, which I never thought I would,
Really?
because there was like a lot of those schools had like surplus when it comes to their budgets because of all of the activities that were being canceled. So
That
they
makes
had to
sense.
redirect. They had to redirect the budget. You feel me? So it's like now they were inviting a bunch of artists to come and work with the kids and all of that. So I had a chance to expand my network in terms of teaching, obviously, and went back to doing the music thing. And now I'm opening like a whole new like set of doors for myself. So it's like for me, it's been all about staying busy, all about staying in prayer and be like, yo, you know what? I have a purpose and I have to focus on my purpose instead of getting carried away by everything that's going on in the world. And I was able to again open up so many new doors for myself. So
For sure.
that's how I managed everything.
Okay, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. And you say, as far as going, opening up those doors for you in the music world, like, where do you feel that you're gonna get I guess where do you feel like there's gonna be a target audience or a place that you're gonna blow up first? Or do you think it's gonna be a stateside thing? Do you think you're gonna have more of a bang on overseas? Because I see that you definitely, you cross the markets. I know that one, I think the song Paris Buck, I understood all of it up until like there was one little part of it, and y'all just started speaking French, and I was like, I gotta ask him what they said, because I have no idea what you lost me.
Yeah. Well, French is my first language, French and Creole. Like English is my third language actually.
Got you.
Um and a lot of people always ask me, "Oh, why don't you rap in French or whatever?" I never did that because it never made sense to me, but also because there's a broader market when it comes to like English. But when Jamsey sent me that beat, it just it just came out like that. You know how I usually create my when I create a track, the first thing that I focus on is the chorus because to me that's where it's at. You feel me? That's what makes that's what makes it a banger. And when he sent me the beat, I just started, saying a whole bunch of nonsense and gibberish, and I was like, "Ici c'est Paris, ici c'est Paris," and I always wanted to make an anthem for Paris because I think that's like one of the buckest like scenes in the world,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Ici c'est Paris means like right here is Paris, like this is Paris, this is our
Right here is
home.
Paris. Okay,
The
all right.
Ici c'est Paris. So when I did the track in my head, I was thinking about, okay, once the pandemic ends, I'm gonna fly out there during the illest, and I'm gonna shoot a video there. So that's why I created the track because I wanted to shoot the video over there in Paris,
Yeah, that
right?
was but
But I couldn't. So I shot some of my shots here in Montreal, and then Jamsey shot his part over there, and we still made the collabo happen. But it was just a shout out to the Paris movement. I have a lot of friends over there. Junior Madrip, who's originally from out there, now lives in in Montreal. We have Ballas that lived in Montreal for a couple of months. Big Rules now lives in Toronto,
big
so I'm very
rules.
close to him. So it was just a little shout out that I wanted to give out to the whole Paris movement.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Yeah, I've heard so many great things about Paris and even even London. Just honestly, when I was out there, I used to live in the UK for a little bit, and I was keeping in contact with a few people. I can't remember their names, but they were just like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna have you come down, and yeah, man, we're gonna teach you the lingo. We go da 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 da." I never got a chance to make it down there, man. But yeah, man, the Paris movie. Every time I see the Illis or the EBS, it's the EBS that's in Paris, correct?
EBS is in Germany,
EBS
Dusseldorf.
in Germany. Got you. Yeah, man. Any of those overseas events, man, they just it looks next level. And honestly, when it comes to who we send over there, I always think
Yeah,
it's interesting. Saying the picks and the choices. But
yeah.
it,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But nah, that's where it's at. Like that's probably the only time I used a little French in one of my songs, and it was just a little shout out, man. And I just thought that
for sure.
it was gonna be catchy, also. You feel me? Like I wanted to do something that was gonna be catchy and that everybody could like. I always that whole album. I created it as if I was on a big world tour stage, and I had a whole
Mhm.
crowd that knows all of my songs and that are just repeating and waiting for that chorus to jump in. I really built those songs as if they were like radio hits or radio singles.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's a move that honestly I feel like it's an interesting move to making crump music. And like I said, that was something else that turned me, so that kind of that turned my ears up when I was listening to the album because there's so many different albums. I listen to a lot of crump music. I'm not actually active in the crump anymore, but I still listen to crump music. I like hearing the progression in it. And one of the things that I saw, like I said, along with your visuals, because you have people like like shout out to Spears, shout out to the Proof and them. They they got some visuals out there and stuff like that. But your stuff actually looked like it looked like an actual video. It looked like something that I could actually see running on what I'm saying, and mixed in with everything else. What I'm saying, it could be
Yeah,
on 106 in Park back in the day. What I'm
yeah,
saying, like
yeah, yeah, for
so,
sure.
and I think that that's something that's that little piece that I feel like Krump has just been missing a little bit, and that's kind of what I feel like Miss Prissy be talking about. Sometimes it's like just that extra piece that it's like, why are you just putting your stuff on SoundCloud? Why aren't you actually officially putting your stuff on the platforms and owning your rights and things like that?
Yeah. Um, this is the thing. Like, it's a choice that we make. We see what's out there, and we decide whether we want to compete with what's out there or if we want to go another route and do what we want to do. I was
Mm,
fortunate enough to be in the music industry here before, getting into Crump. So I
got you.
already had those connects, already had those people that I kept close to me and that are still aware of what I'm doing. So when I went back to making music, I was a little rusty at first, but it's not like I didn't have those connects anymore. My
Yeah,
boy Peasy, who I've been knowing for over 20 years, is one of the best video directors in the world,
I'm about to say his
literally.
stuff is crazy. I've been looking at a lot of his stuff, man.
So he's been working with people from India, all over Africa. He worked with Glasses Malone. He worked with Tyga. He worked with a lot of people, and he's from out here. He's from Montreal. He lived in LA for a while and all of that. So
Mhm.
I'm very blessed again. Thank God for having these people around me. So I don't take the credit for everything that I'm doing, because it's a collective effort. However, I do want to tap myself in the back you know for being bold enough to put that project together and go get all of the different pieces to make something happen. Even
Yeah.
the fact that I worked with DJ Shashu on the whole project, or he
Mhm.
overlooked the whole project. He did the mixing and the mastering alongside with my boy Mark Magnanimous. So it was a collective effort, because I really wanted to bring something different to the table. But if I told myself, if I'm gonna deal with the people that are the head honchos in the game. If I want to go out toe to toe with like a major recording artist, then I need to go get the right people for that. I need to
Yeah.
get the people who are working with those artists, who are working at that level, you know. But at the same time, I want to give something back to my community. So I still got all of the krump beat makers,
Mhm.
Playa, Kid and Y, 20 Kills, all of them. I still got them involved in the whole process, because I wanted to bridge their qualities and their talents with where I want to
Mhm.
go in the mainstream world. So I think that that's what makes the album different from anything that's out there.
And had a DJ Shashu and Mark, had they done anything with Krump before? Was this completely new to them?
No, well, Mark it was his first time really doing, like, because he was more focused on doing the final master, so it was his first time working on the Crump project. But Chashu he was making Crump beats like back in 2008. We had
Gotcha.
a little thing called Berserk Squad Volume One. He also did the Style Bender Anthem with Big Rules.
Okay.
Yeah, so he co-produced that with Rules. So Shashu has been very close to the Crump community for several
Gotcha.
years. That's what made it easier again for me to kind of get him involved in the project, because he's been involved with so many, like, on so many major projects. And but at the same time, he understands like crump culture. So it made sense to me. For me, it was like the best of both worlds to have him overlook and oversee the whole project in terms of like the
Mhm.
mixing, the mastering, and he co-produced some of the stuff. I felt like, sometimes the beat makers would bring something to the table, and I was like, I need that little something something
That little
that'll
push.
make it like and Shashu would just add his 2 cents to it and kind of like bring the track to another level. You feel me?
Word.
So I think the combination between Shashu and Playa, Shashu and Jamsey, and also Shashu Kid and Y was amazing. Like, it really brought a different sound and a different approach.
That's awesome. Yeah, to have that many heads on an album, and to have something really good come out of it. 'Cause I feel like you can have a lot of heads in the room and everybody clash, or you can have a lot of heads in the room and saying everybody be able to really maneuver stuff. So yeah, man, I think the finished product honestly was really dope, man. And like, what are we looking forward to next? Like, are we gonna get some more visuals out of that project? Are you already working on the next project?
I'm currently shooting a music video for the track Super Live that was produced by Shashu. Um, I am currently also working on a new music video with PZ. We're still debating on which single is going to be, but I have three more music videos coming out for this project.
That's dope.
Right now, I'm currently working on two albums at the same time. I'm working on my next album called The Cold War, and I'm also working on another album called 7 in the AM, the After Session. And 7 in the AM, the After Session, is going to be an experiment of me trying to make crump music, but with the after session feel. So basically, we're going to take different like risks musically. And the whole concept of the album is, what do cats want to listen to once they're done dancing? If they still feel like listening to crump related content, but they don't want it to be this high energy of like of heavy bass and buck lyrics, is there a way for us to make also crump music that's a little bit more mellow, or that's geared towards the after session?
It's like
um
Crump meets Lofi.
Exactly, type ish. Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta talk to you offline about something, man. Yeah, I gotta talk to
Let's
you. Yeah,
do it. Let's
but
do it,
yeah,
bro.
man. Okay, I like that, man.
The
Damn,
reason why
that's
the
really
reason why
dope.
I wanted to create that is because I remember going back from the 818, and I was driving all the way to Orange County when I was in LA, and it was like we were just listening to regular like hip hop and all that, and I still felt Buck to a certain extent, but I didn't want to
Hmm.
listen to Krump music, and I'm like, oh, let me try to see that in between if I could create something for that.
Yeah, that would be smooth, man. That would be really dope. Cause honestly, that would be even good for those ride homes. Like I feel like I remember, when I lived up in when I lived in Northern Virginia, we had to drive down to Richmond. It was like 2 hours. So you go down to Richmond for this crazy event, and then you tired and you sweaty and everything. Now you driving back, and it's like you don't want to listen to crump music no more. I remember one time it was me, Rec, Judge, and I want to say it was Hour. And
Hmm.
yeah, well, I think it was all of us were driving back, and like we was listening to like Marvin Gaye
There
and
you go.
like
There you go.
Casey and JoJo. Like it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
everything
yeah,
except, man,
yeah, yeah.
because everybody was just ready to just chill and relax, man. But yeah, I feel that, man. I definitely feel that vibe, bro. That's gonna be real dope, man.
Yes,
And
sir.
and to bring this all full circle, man, like if you had the opportunity to like to send a message to everybody in the world, like it would go across everybody's screen just one time. Like what would that message be if you just could get out one little blurb to the world?
I would say the one message I want to send out to the world is make make love the standard for everything that you're doing. You feel me? Like and there's and I mean it's hard to kind of sum it up in one sentence, but yeah, the love is the basis of all things. You feel me?
Mm,
Um and there's different types of love. There's different ways of, and then I think we have this misconception of always thinking that love is just one thing. But the love that I have with for my mother and my father is different from the one that I have in my intimate like relationship in terms of
mm,
romance, or the love that I have for this music that I'm making, or the love that I have with the people in my community. But at the end of the day, you need to identify those different dynamics and make that the standard for everything that you do. You feel me?
for
Because I
sure.
feel like that's where the best stuff comes out. If you do stuff out of pride, if you do stuff out of ego, if you do stuff out of frustration, of rage, or rage or whatever, it never really leads to anything good in the long run. You feel me? So
Yeah.
that would be my ultimate standard and the ultimate value. And yeah, just that would be my thing.
Hey, respect, man. Your respect. Yeah, shout out to you, man, for and shout out to men, what I'm saying, pushing the agenda of putting love into the world, man. I don't feel like that's honestly pressed enough as men, what I'm saying, putting that out there for whatever reason, there's a lot of misconceptions on what that can look
Yeah,
like.
yeah, man, and there's even a misconception, and even the same misconception that people have when they see us dance, when they see us crump. As
Hmm.
men, we are expressing like our masculinity and our energy through this dance, but it doesn't have any. Sometimes, and most of the time, it has nothing to do with anger. It has nothing to do with violence. Everything has to do with passion and love and fellowship. You know what I'm saying? And this is why
Exactly.
crump is so powerful, because that's the foundation of it. And I think that same thing that we want to channel through the dance, we need to channel it through everything else we do. You feel me?
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, that's really what I would send out to the world.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate it. And I appreciate you for this interview, man. And before we wrap it up, go ahead and plug yourself in. Let everybody know where they can find you, where they can listen to your music, watch your videos.
Yes, sir. So 7Starr, that's number 7, STARR. Check out my YouTube channel if you want to peep all of my latest music videos. Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button. And I'm going to have also a podcast that I'm bringing back. It's called The Vision Talk. The Vision Podcast is something that I'm bringing back in the next couple of weeks. So you
Bet.
make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you type 7Starr on any streaming platforms, you're going to find my music. You're going to find my album, Diff Diff. I'm gonna be dropping a lot of freestyles and just little singles in the meantime before I drop the Cold War. So I encourage y'all to hit me up on social media. Also, it's 7Starr _ VZN, and the VZN stands for Vision. So if you hit me up on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, IG, you're gonna find me there. And if it's too complicated, just go to 7starr.com, 7starr.com, and you'll be able to find all of my info on there.
Respect, man. Hey, like I said, I appreciate you coming on to the show. Everybody that has tapped in listening, I appreciate you. This is Clue the motherfucking Down with another episode, Country Fan Mail Podcast. We out of here.
Yeah.
Strictly for my ill ones. Strictly for my ill ones. Welcome to Paris. Welcome to Paris. Time to get live up in this so live. Hands up, ready for the live business. It's time to bring the noise.